Welcome back to Podcast Recovery. We are your hosts, David O.
And Eric V.
Tonight we have with us our very special guest, Donnie C. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing good. How about you guys?
I'm doing well.
It's
been a big couple weeks. It's been a couple weeks since we recorded,
and we missed last week.
Yes, we missed last week.
But
I got engaged since the last time. Clap track. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Eric.
Yeah.
Thanks, Donnie.
A lot of stuff happening.
Eric lost an internal organ.
Yep.
Which is nice. Appendix is gone.
You don't need
Donnie.
it, though.
I don't have anything to compare to those events now.
Yeah, well,
all right. Fair enough.
Fine.
It's business as usual in my world.
Yeah.
It's good.
Where are you from, Donnie?
Well, I was born in North Carolina, but I've been in Maryland for...
You were born in North Carolina?
Yeah.
How did I not know
Military.
that? Did you know that?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, my dad was military. I've been in Maryland since like 1989.
18?
So
1889.
1989. So almost 30 years I've been in Maryland. So
goodness gracious.
Yep.
All right. And when were you first introduced to recovery?
Well, I learned about it before I got clean through my dad, but when I actually decided to check it out was a few weeks before I actually got clean. So back in 2010, early 2010.
Nice. Mm-hmm. All right. And how much clean time do you have?
I'm at right now about 8.5 years.
8.5 years. Fantastic.
Yep, time flies.
All right. Well, without all that out of the way, we're going to turn it over to you to share your story with us.
Thank you. Thank you for that introduction. Mm-hmm. It's really good to be here. I listened to a lot of these, and your guys' podcast is actually the first podcast I've ever listened to.
Really?
Yeah, I've never really done it. So
nice.
So you guys can put that feather in your cap.
Yes.
On that. So
I have a cap.
You have a feather too.
I have a feather too.
So stick another one in there.
Okay.
So yeah, my story is my story. I used drugs for not a long period of time, but I used them hard and I used them fast, and I used them for various reasons throughout that period of time. And eventually I stopped, and I'll get into the more details of it. But you hear a lot of stories about people who had like insane, just like war stories, right? Mm-hmm. And I don't have a lot of crazy war stories. A lot of my wars were fought, inside, within, not externally. Yeah. Battling my own thoughts, battling my own feelings, and how to deal with them. And so that kind of happened early on, like long before I ever. Sorry, I'm going to back up. This thing feels really close to my face. So. When I was a kid and growing up, like I said, my dad was military, born in North Carolina, Coast Guard, 21-year vet, shout out.
Oh, nice.
And so we settled in Middle River, Maryland, over on the east side of town. Mm-hmm. And, everything was normal. We had everything we needed. My mom and dad were happy. My brother, a couple years older than me, we were the typical family. Had extended family come over for holidays. We'd travel out for holidays. It was kind of like the Cleavers, Wallace and Theodore Cleaver.
Beaver.
Yeah, Wally and Beaver.
Wally and Beaver.
Yeah.
Let's not church this up.
Yeah. But so my dad retired from the Coast Guard, and then shortly thereafter we moved down to Southern Maryland, St. Mary's County.
Real quick, total tangent. You know what the dirtiest thing ever said on TV is?
Ward, you were a little hard on the Beaver last night.
Bingo. Okay, keep going. So
we settled again in St. Mary's County, Maryland, in Valley Lee. Okay, that's at the very bottom of Maryland. Mm-hmm. Once you hit water, basically.
Yeah.
So we settled into there. I didn't know anybody coming into a new school in second grade. So that was
I was just about to ask.
Yeah, second grade. So, and that was in 1994. So. In a new school, didn't know anybody, and one of my earliest memories of being there is like in a recess one day. Mm-hmm. I wanted to play kickball. They were playing kickball, and And I go over to him and it's like, hey, can I play with you guys? And he was just like, no.
Jesus.
This one kid in particular, I remember his name, and I have no idea what he's up to these days, but he was just like a firm, instant no. And
God, I want to know his name. I don't know.
Yeah.
We can't tell.
So,
damn it.
I didn't think much about that because I was like a kid. How old are you in second grade? Like 6 years old or something like that?
Yeah. Yeah.
I have no idea.
Yeah.
I have no idea. I don't have kids. Why would I know that?
Yeah.
Because you were in second grade at one point.
Like a long time ago. I think you're like 7 or 8.
Yeah.
No.
They're about.
No.
Because kindergarten, you're like 5, 6.
Yeah, you're like
and
5.
Then you're like 6.
Oh, yeah.
In
I
first
guess.
grade, right?
Yeah, we'll say 6, 7-ish.
Okay. So
Okay.
I didn't think much about that, but the word no and the response no was like, became my go-to answer, that I gave myself, that I expected other people to give me, and it held me back for years. It's just, it had a long lasting effect. I didn't know, obviously wouldn't know that there. How would a 6-year-old interpret it that way? But, I never had any, enemies. I got along with everybody. And I just can't stress enough how normal it was. I guess is the good word. It is normal, like the American dream type of thing.
Yeah.
Dad worked, mom, she was an aide in the elementary school, and it was, and played sports. We did it all. And so it wasn't around 10. So this was the summer moving into 6th grade, into middle school. That's when my parents, they split up. Okay. It was kind of messy. The way it all came about, that's one of those things I'll never forget. That's probably one of the most traumatic things that ever happened, in my life. And it just flipped my whole world upside down. We were the Cleavers.
Yeah.
And then we're not. And so I had no idea how to deal with that. And I just kind of regressed inward. I didn't talk about that event with anybody for like 8 years. Okay. I didn't share my thoughts about it. I didn't share anything about that with anybody until 8 years later.
Yeah.
And so it's around the time like you start getting interested in girls, but at the same time, that's the only relationship that I knew was my parents, and it was done. Right. So it really tainted my view of relationships, about how that all goes.
Well, nobody wants a 6th grade divorce.
Right. I mean, yeah, it's tough. It's tough for anybody.
Yeah.
And so, just doing the whole mom moving out, we stayed living with my dad, and then, you're going to go to your mother's on every other weekend and once a week for dinner and all this, and then them fighting, it was just a mess. So the happy-go-lucky kid kind of turned into, flipped on its side. Okay. And then in like 7th grade, I started getting like made fun of a lot by people that I sat with at lunch. They were like my friends, and I got teased a lot, and I couldn't take it like not seriously. I couldn't laugh at myself. I took it seriously, and that itself also contributed to that just whole started negative sense of self, negative self-worth, low self-esteem. And I was basically just going to buckle up for that lifestyle. Like, this is how my life is going to be now. Okay. And I started to believe those things for myself. Really, no evidence to it. It's just thoughts that came along, and I started to believe them. What a mess. 7th grade sucked, man. Hated 7th grade. And so, fast forward a little bit, going into high school, I was straight edge, not in like,
Straight
I
edge?
heard Martin say straight edge.
Like X? Like,
No, not like
No,
I heard
because Martin was like a
straight edge
punk
No,
rocker.
not me. I'm the whitest guy in the world. I promise you that.
He is.
I'm one of the whitest guys you'll ever meet.
Yeah.
And not just like physically, but but so
Culturally, personality.
yeah, and that's okay.
No, it's
there's
perfectly
nothing wrong
fine.
with me.
Yeah.
I played sports in high school. I was kind of like the chameleon. I could fit in with any group. I was smart enough to fit in with like the smart kids, and I was, athletic enough to fit in with the jocks. I played lacrosse in high school, and I could fit in kind of with the popular kids because I was smart enough. I might help them with their schoolwork or something, you know.
Oh, you were that
What?
kid. You was that kid.
Yeah. If they asked
Did you
for
get
help,
paid for it though?
I didn't get paid for it. I got paid for it in validation, right?
But not in money.
Oh God.
It's like, hey, we're friends, right?
Oh man.
You know.
You got the hello in the hallway.
It wasn't like George McFly doing homework for Biff.
You can get cash for
No,
that shit.
okay.
No, it was cool. I didn't charge.
Great
for it.
reference, by the way.
Yeah,
thanks.
Good job.
Yeah, Crispin Glover. So, and let me back up a minute. I think I forgot where I was going to go with it.
You were a chameleon.
I was a
Yeah.
chameleon, and I forgot. I had something else I was going to say, but the point is that like I didn't know really me. I started to just whatever you liked, that's what I would like too, because you know that I think that I would rather you like me for thinking that I like what you like rather than you liking me for whatever I may be, you know, in its purest form. And I had a hard time figuring that out. And I was totally against, drinking, the stuff that you see in movies and you hear about people doing in high school, like drinking and going to parties and stuff. I had no interest in that at all. I heard all the people talking about the crazy parties over the weekend.
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh, that sounds all right or whatever. And I was just like, I spent the weekend like sleeping over my friend's house, playing video games all weekend or whatever. And,
Playing Tekken 3.
Yeah, or Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2, all of those things. And that's what I found joy in. It was just escaping reality. And this isn't what I was going to say before, but to a different point, like I was very much not satisfied with reality.
Yeah.
I'd get home from school and this is going back to that middle school age. I'd come back from school and watch TV basically until I went to bed, 3, 4 in the afternoon, 10 o'clock at night. I'm in front of the TV, playing video games, watching TV because like, I was living in fantasy, escaping my reality because I was not satisfied with it. And again, I had no reason to believe that except for I was telling myself those things and I believed it. Much so with like the whole addict mentality of you're never going to be worth anything. You're a piece of garbage and you'll always be a piece of garbage. Like I had that mentality long before I picked up any drugs. So it was in high school around that time that my dad, quit drinking, and he attended he got sober. Okay. And so I wasn't really exposed to drinking, and that's why I wasn't really interested in it. And so finally, during my senior year, 17 years old, that's when I used for the first time, if you want to call it using, drank, whatever.
Yeah.
Altered my state of consciousness.
Yeah.
I like the altered state of conscious.
Yeah.
Let's go with that.
Yeah, I remember I would tell that to people, like, I'm going to go alter my state of consciousness this weekend, and just to try to sound cool to like people younger than me. Yeah.
Oh,
like I'm
God.
a big loser.
Yeah, that did not sound cool too.
Yeah, they probably didn't think it was that cool either.
No.
So,
I think it's kind of cool.
whatever. Maybe now as 30-year-olds.
As 30-year-olds, I think it's dope.
So the reason I wanted to try it is not because I wanted to know how it. I was just curious, but I also more so wanted to fit in and be able to relate to these people who were talking about the crazy party and the crazy shit that people were doing. So the first party, I don't even call it a party. It was like 3 or 4 or 5 of us at this house overnight and just got drunk, drinking beers and taking shots of stuff.
Yeah.
And
What was your first drink?
I knew you were going to ask that.
Yes.
Yeah, but, I think it was some like shitty light beer, like Bud Light or something like that.
That is a shitty light beer.
That's a solid answer.
It is, yeah.
It's a good answer.
We drank
Shitty
some
beer.
like shots of vodka or whatever or something too, and like
Sounds about
I
right.
remember though, like when the effects came on, I was like, "This is so cool,"
Yeah.
Like I feel awesome. This is so awesome. I feel such a part of this. This is what I've been missing. And why have I waited so long to do this? you know, it wasn't that I like felt good about myself at the time because I still, you know, had those thoughts, but I felt a part of, you know, I got sick that night. You know,
we all did.
Yeah, I threw up my first time, and I remember like it's kind of funny. The people who were there that night, years later, they were like, "You never flushed that toilet. That you puked into that toilet."
Oh.
And I was like, "Yes, I swear to you, I did." And they're like, "No, you didn't." So that was a running debate that never got resoled. But like, I remember.
Did you flush the
I
toilet?
feel like I flushed it. I don't know.
He didn't flush.
No.
I don't know, I was just quite drunk, but you know, after I puked, I remember just sitting at the table at the house thinking like, man, I am never doing this again. Like I felt awful at that point.
Damn, that was fast.
Yeah. And that's the end.
That went from peak to valley in one heave.
Yeah, and that's the end of my story. No,
Nice.
Just kidding. But I didn't do it again for like 6 months until the summer after I graduated. And, you know, I experienced it. I tried it, and I liked it, and then I didn't like it. So 6 months later, at a different party, I kind of got drunk again, and I didn't puke this time, you know, but I had an awesome time. So this is now we're moving on to college, and that's when I moved up here to the Baltimore area. And so I went to one of the universities around here, and you know, this is my first time away from home, and honestly, I was quite scared. Living, you know, they do the random roommate thing, and I didn't know this guy, but he turned out to be really cool. And I used a lot with him, you know, in the coming years.
There you go.
But very scared, you know. Little, what does it say? Little fish in a big pond. No, it's usually the other way around. Big fish in a little pond. I was scared, is what I'm trying to say, and I figured that like everybody else wasn't. Like everybody else knew exactly what to do, and everybody had it all together, you know. And I didn't. I was the only one that didn't. You know, that I was just lost, completely lost. So I basically just took it day by day. I signed up for classes. I started going to class, and I made a couple of friends. I remembered just now, you know, what I was trying to say before that I forgot. And I guess it kind of ties into this as well, which was basically like during those middle school years when I was getting teased a lot, I like so very much fantasized about what it would be like to be one of the popular kids at school, you know, that had all the friends, that had the girlfriends and all that. Yeah. Because, you know, I honestly had not serious thoughts, but I fantasized about like, you know, killing myself as like 11, 12 years old. Yeah. You know, not ever thinking about what that would do or anything like that. But yeah. Just thinking about, that would be cool. That would show them, right? Yep. But I would have done anything to be like them, you know, because I just did not like myself that much. Did you have a specific kid that you were like, I want to be that kid? Yeah. There were these two brothers. Mine was this kid named Tyler. I was like, man, Tyler, like everybody loved Tyler. Yeah. I want to be like Tyler. I was the exact opposite. Yeah. Yeah. I remember their names. They were brothers actually. I only remember one of their names, but they were like the coolest kids in school. They were always dating the hottest girl. And, you know, I never had a girlfriend in middle school or high school, honestly, because, you know, I don't know, I was just a very timid, shy person.
Yeah.
When was your first girlfriend, Eric?
16 when I went back to high school. After that year. I had a year off of high school though.
My first girlfriend was in 5th grade.
Oh, good for you.
I don't count that shit. Like I had,
we kissed. We held hands. I walked her home from school.
But you remember that shit? Like
walked her from school. That's like second base.
Yeah, dude. That's.
But you know, like do you remember the stuff where it's like the friend tells you that like the girl likes you, and it's like, do you want to be like boyfriend girlfriend? Do you ever have that sort of shit? Like I don't count.
No,
like,
no. You know, sorry, that did happen to me actually in 8th grade.
See,
yeah, the girl that I was actually interested in asked me if I liked her friend, and I was like, yeah, sure, okay. And it's like, so okay, you're boyfriend girlfriend now, like. Okay, cool.
Oh, okay. Yeah. All right.
And then 8 days later, the same friend came and was like, "Yeah, she wants to break up with you.
She doesn't like you anymore."
It's like, oh, okay then." It was weird. I was hormones, you know, like
hormones.
Yeah. Hormones. But anyway, we regress.
Yes.
college. This was about the time when like it became more and more normal to to be drinking on the weekends. It's still just drinking at this point. Drinking every weekend. Up here where I was going to school, there wasn't a very lively social scene that I was, at least not one that I was willing to like put myself out there to meet new people to become a part of.
Yeah.
So the friends of mine that were also from Southern Maryland, we would drive down to the college down there where one of my friend's girlfriends was going.
Like 2 hours away.
Yeah, every weekend to party there. Because it was cool. Big party school. And that we had a lot of good times. Like this was like good times, like as a 17, 18-year-old kid, but like I got some ideas about, like, most nights ended in puke. Most times. Like, if like a lot of people maybe will, get to a certain point and like, okay, I think I'm okay now. I've drank just the right amount of alcohol and I'm good now. But that was never me. It was always, let's keep it going. Pour it up again. Yeah, keep it going.
Yep.
Shotgun another beer. Load up the beer bong again. Whatever. You know what I mean?
Southern Maryland.
Yeah. But like, lots of vomit and, but anyway, one night in particular, it kind of like started to highlight how selfish I can be, when I am, under the influence or actively using drugs and alcohol. My friend ended up getting seriously injured, because we had been drinking. We were going to leave the college and go get some food or whatever. We're going to drive there. We all were drunk, to say it in the simplest terms. And my friend, Steven, was going to slide down the railing in the stairwell. Maybe you've heard this story before. No, you haven't. Okay.
It sounds like it's about to get bad.
Exactly. I can see where this is going.
Yeah, so basically he tried to slide down the railing and he fell over the side. And we were not on the ground floor. We were like between the second and third floor.
Oh, God.
And he fell, and it was a big open area between the stairs. So he fell straight down like 2 floors. And just, I'll never forget it. I can see it in my mind right now. That image of him like tipping over the side and falling down. And he landed on the floor. And we were all just standing there in like disbelief. Like, what just happened? Like, that didn't just happen, did it?
Yeah, what the fuck?
Yeah, so we looked over the side and we see him down there on the ground on the floor, and he's moving. He's
that's a good sign.
He's moving, and then when I saw him move and I heard him grunt, I was just like, oh, he's fine.
Yeah, he's cool.
He's fine.
We're
okay.
cool.
Yeah. Let's just
30 feet in the air. He's fine.
It turns out, he had to end up getting surgery on his wrist and had to get put on painkillers.
That's it? Oh.
No, his wrist was fucked. I'll tell you that. He landed on it, and if he hadn't been drunk, he might have died, because his body was limp, so it didn't like tense up when it hit the floor. But
I'm sorry for laughing.
No, but see, this is one of those things that like, stuck with me because, his wrist was fucked up, and we didn't take him to the hospital. Yeah, we should have. We didn't, because we were all underage. We weren't gonna. They asked questions, and I'm more worried about my ass than his. Yeah, he was seriously injured.
Yeah, fuck your wrist. Who told you to slide a railing, you idiot?
Yeah, so we put him. I think they gave him like a couple of huge like horse pill Tylenol, like 800 or whatever, and made a makeshift splint out of like socks and
excuse me,
makeshift splint out of like socks and coat hangers. And put him to bed,
dude.
And put him to bed, and he did not go to sleep that night.
We made the makeshift splint and put him to bed. What?
Yeah,
fucking,
you never done that.
He said he was fine.
Drop him off at the hospital.
Just drop him off in the parking lot.
I've dropped people off at the hospital.
But anyway, he said he was fine. Like, he was like, no, I'm fine. I've had worse than this. I'm fine. But he ended up having to get like reconstructive surgery on his wrist, like screws and pins and stuff. And
awesome.
Right. And he probably would fail going through the metal detector at the airport. Yeah.
Steven, if you're listening, I'm sorry to hear about your wrist.
Yeah.
Genuinely.
Yeah. I mean, this was, back in like 06, But, he had to get him painkillers when we got back to school, and he was sleeping through class all the time, and he eventually just failed out, left school. And the things might have been differently if we had took him to the hospital, if somebody stepped up and like cared for him, and I was right on board with and I remember specifically saying fucking Steven, you ruined my buzz tonight.
Oh, yeah. Oh yeah.
That was a good friend of mine that I've known for years.
Yeah.
And I was just ready to brush him away because I wanted to, stay drunk that night.
Yeah.
But, anyway, basically what happened is my friends and I started, we're done with Steven. He's doing great. He's married, has a kid right now. God bless him.
Congrats, Steven.
Yeah.
Like he's listening. Okay.
You never know.
You never know.
So we ended up starting to smoke weed. And this is when, it started, for me, is when it really came together for my life. And at that period in time started smoking weed. My brother, had been doing it before me. He wanted me to do it.
Yeah.
And
naturally.
Yeah, I want you to experience this too, bro.
Yeah.
And so he and his cool friends, older friends, they were in their mid-20s, right? And they were all musicians, and they all smoked cigarettes and smoke weed and stuff all the time. And it's I thought they were so cool, and they're going to be here, and we want you to come and smoke weed with us. I'm like, cool, yeah. You guys think I'm cool, right? And the funny thing is they liked me just as I was, but in my mind I'm who the hell would like me the way I am, right?
Yeah.
So let me do this so you'll like me some more. Mm-hmm. I mean, I didn't get high the first time, and I thought it was weird. I hear a lot of people don't get high the first time.
I got high as fuck.
Didn't you smoke a ball?
Yes, I did.
I mean,
I smoked a ball.
So that's different.
The first hit was a beat bowl. The bowl was kind of beat, and then I took a fresh hit off of it and coughed my head off, but I still didn't really feel anything from it.
Oh no,
but it took a couple of times actually before I felt it, and I will never forget. I've forgotten a lot of things. I've forgotten a lot of things, but I'll never forget the feeling I felt the first time I got really fucking high on weed.
Oh yeah.
And that was the feeling I had when I tried drinking the first time, times 1,000.
Yeah.
All the thoughts that I had about being a piece of shit, about never being able to do anything, about all that negative shit just was gone. I was laughing my ass off. I was joking around, and all those fears and stuff were they went away. And that was
the cartoon characters showed up and we were laughing and eating cookies.
I was eating
terrible.
I was eating cookies that night, actually.
Yeah, fucking right.
Yeah, I was eating, actually they were very stale cookies, but I didn't care.
Didn't matter. Yeah.
So from that point on, that was my goal, was to feel that way, as often as possible. Mm-hmm. And, from here, it doesn't really get worse. I never became homeless. I never became derelict or really stole from anybody or fucked anybody over super badly. But I did as much, within reason, as much as I could to be using something, just to not feel that way anymore. But in the time between, so this was I guess 06, and I stopped in 2000, I was going to say 010, but 2010. So only 5 years or so of using, but it ended up getting worse and worse. Because, I was in school, I stopped going to class, I started playing. I remember all my friends played World of Warcraft, and I didn't. I was the only one that didn't.
Yeah.
And that's all they talked about.
Yep.
And I was just sitting there yeah, that sounds kind of cool. I don't know what you're saying, but eventually I was fine, I'm going to try playing. And the first night I played that, I was hooked. And I said, all right, well, I'm hooked on this now. And that's what we did: smoke weed, play WoW, and be that group of people you see on campus.
That sounds like a great time.
It was back then.
That does not sound like a great time.
It sounds like
to
a
me.
great time.
We'd all
totally
get together.
Get down with that.
We'd all get together and smoke our drugs and drink and just have all of our computers and
dude, LAN parties all day.
Oh god,
we were
LAN parties,
such dorks, but we thought we were so cool. We thought we were so
David,
cool.
I still have LAN parties, by the way, just to let you know.
I don't have room to talk. We sit around and play board games all the time.
That's
Which is what we're doing right after we.
It's
literally what we're doing after this.
That's an analog LAN party.
Yeah. Oh god.
Oh, good. Yeah, I like that.
Fuck.
Analog LAN party.
I quit, you guys.
So anyway, that's what we did, and we never we'd go to parties and we would not talk to anybody else. Just be us in the back room, like smoking weed, and like we'd go out to the kitchen to grab more drinks and take them back into the room and not talk to anybody. But this again,
You were those guys.
We were those guys,
Okay.
and we thought we were so cool.
No, you weren't.
And I know, I realize that now. So basically, what is happening at this point is that I'm using because, I was majoring in chemistry at the time at this school.
Really?
Yeah, I started out studying chemistry at UMBC. And UMBC is no walk in the park when it comes to the hard sciences.
No, it's a good school.
Very good school.
Yeah.
Go Retrievers.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so I was so terrified of like being able to succeed or maybe even failing at this that again, I didn't know it at the time, but I was using and smoking and drinking and doing all this to escape that fear of failure. So I wouldn't feel like I'm not good enough to pass this class or pass this test. Right. So I just kept using, but at the time I'm thinking, I'm just having a good time. Like this is what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
This is what you're supposed to do in college. I've seen movies,
I've seen movies. I watched Animal House.
Yeah. Van Wilder and XYZ. Insert college movie here.
God, those are great movies.
Have you ever seen Back to School, Rodney Dangerfield?
Long time ago.
Long time ago.
Very young Robert Downey Jr. in it too.
Good Lord.
Yeah. Anyway.
Maybe.
It's been a while.
Yeah. So at first I'm using to fit in. Now I'm using to escape fear and not be afraid of the world. Okay. And my lack of effort in school showed.
Yeah.
Okay. I started failing classes. I started dropping classes. I started failing tests and not doing anything at all.
Yeah.
Basically just living there on campus, signing up for classes, and sometimes going. And I might pass. I might not. I think in the span of about 3 or 4 years ago, I maybe accumulated about a year and a half's worth of credits.
Oh my God.
Good Lord.
It was bad.
Nice.
I had to petition after I got clean. I had to petition to take Sociology 101 the third time. And that's to anybody who's, been to undergraduate college knows that Sociology 101 is like the first class you take.
Yeah.
And it's like a throwaway class. I signed up for it twice and just never went and failed it and had to petition to take it a third time when I was actually going to try.
What was your lowest GPA?
One semester and during my fourth year. I can't say senior year. I'd say my fourth year.
Yeah.
I actually did get a 0.0 GPA one semester. I was taking 4 classes. I dropped 3 of them and just failed the 4th.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. And like I told you, my priority.
And were
was,
your parents paying for this, or was this
mostly
all
with this? I'm paying for it now.
Oh yeah, fucking right you are.
Student loan debt, but that's a whole other discussion.
Yeah. That's a different podcast.
Yeah, exactly. For people much smarter than us.
Yep. Maybe not Eric. Eric's very smart.
Yeah. I mean, I am a banker, so.
Touche.
Yeah. Anyway, 0.0 GPA. Because like I said, my goal was just to not feel the way I felt when I was not using something, when I was in a clear mind, because then it was just negativity and fear and fuck it and all this stuff. I was keeping a good image on the outside though. Like every time my parents would ask about how's school going, I'd say, I'm doing okay and so forth, and change the subject.
Yeah, probably. Do you have any money, Mom?
The real question is, how was your WoW character doing?
I sucked at WoW. I sucked at WoW. I did a bit of tanking. I had a good orc warrior. I leveled to 80 during Wrath. If anybody knows, Wrath of the Lich King.
Diablo and StarCraft are way better games, but
StarCraft was a way better game.
No, I know.
I love StarCraft.
I'll take your word for it.
What?
I never played those games.
See.
So I sucked at the game, but I was part of the group. There's a lot of things that I did that I never really.
So you're Stan's dad.
You're Stan's dad.
I'm Stan's dad. Yeah, during the episode of South Park. Yep.
Anybody
I was okay, but like,
anybody who doesn't know what we're talking about, go watch the South Park episode
You're Randy.
Make Love, Not Warcraft.
Yeah.
He is Randy Marsh.
I mean, I was decked out in epics, but
He was a noob.
I was a noob.
God.
I was a noob. But I was only really doing it because I wanted to fit in. I didn't want to play the game. I wanted to belong.
That game sucked.
Yeah.
Sorry, Eric.
I played Diablo. I don't know.
It doesn't matter. It
I've
doesn't
only
matter.
played the free trial.
Yeah.
It was fine.
And I apologize to any listeners that like World of Warcraft.
It's a good
It's not
game.
my thing. If it's your thing.
I mean,
If
it's
you
not,
want to get lost in something, it's a great.
Yes.
it's not as big as it used to be, but
No.
you know, it's still going strong, I guess. But anyway, let's stay on task.
Let's rein
here.
this back in.
Yes,
Okay.
let's pull the reins back in.
So
here.
you're talking to your parents. You're totally bullshitting.
Yeah,
them.
bullshitting everything. They have no idea what's going on. They might know that I'm smoking weed, but they don't know that I'm like doing it all the time. And that I am basically, for some reason, I don't know why I never got like academic probation or anything like that. My GPA never got lower than like 2 points, like cumulative never got lower than like 2.2 or something like that.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, the first year and a half was good. And then it was just started going down. C's, D's, W's, F's.
Well, W's don't count towards anything.
I mean, they count as withdrawal, incomplete. It was after. It wasn't good.
It was after like the withdrawal time.
Well,
Anyway.
yeah. Then
So, it was around, let's see, third year of school. And I can't emphasize enough just like about how scared of the world I was. You know, I wanted so bad to like be like a normal, productive member of society. You know,
yeah.
someone who's got the job, who wakes up early and goes to work and, you know, contributes and has that, you know, a lot of people say run in the rat race, you know, and because, you know, again, like I think I knew at the time like that you know, there's no way I could have kept this up and gotten where I wanted to be in life. I wasn't smart enough. I wasn't like ingenious enough. Like the dealer we had, he would get high and do his organic chemistry homework, and like, you know, that was not me.
That's what my girlfriend would do back in those days. Like she was at the University of Maryland, and I was using her for a place to stay. Yeah, she would
Getting high and doing homework is awesome.
Yeah, not for me.
Yeah, she loved
I
it.
got distracted right away.
I loved doing that.
She
shit.
loved it. I was still playing Madden 2005 in like 2009.
Name drop.
Who was the player in 2005?
Ray Lewis.
Yeah.
No, who was the good player on like the game? Like, you know, like Marshall Falk was like
Ray
baller in
Lewis.
2001.
He was on the cover.
So,
go ahead.
Anyway,
Everybody was good.
so because of how cool we were, you know, my group of friends, we never talked to girls at all.
Because of how cool
We none of us like talked to girls.
Of course not.
One night, through a series of events, we ended up hanging out with a few of these girls. They were looking for a place to smoke weed, and our apartment was, you know, prime real estate for that, because, you know, we were doing it all the time. And they would sometimes bring it over, and we would smoke all their weed, and, you know, convince them to pack up some more. And, you know, they only have a little bit left. Oh, come on, you know.
Yeah.
We're letting you
Well, if you only have a little bit left,
Yeah.
might as well smoke it.
Yeah,
Well, that's
right.
not going to do anything later.
Yeah. So I ended up, you know, getting into a relationship with one of them. And, you know, that turned into like we did a lot together. We used together. We went on hijinks together. You know, she started
Hijinks?
Yeah, hijinks. She was
Eric, I felt Eric's judging eyes behind me.
she was into snorting pills, you know. And, yeah.
time.
Yeah, and I tried it too. Like I did it just because she was. You know, this is just me, like just doing again what I have to do to fit in. Because against my better judgment, you know, I would never think I'm going to smoke snort some pills now, right? That's the next step in this.
Yeah, definitely.
It's your next logical step for you.
I smoke weed now, so I guess I need to start snorting pills, right? But I did, and they were opiate pills, and like whatever the various pills they were, Percocets, Oxy, Cottons, and etc.
Adderall.
Never did that. I don't think I ever did that, but basically it's the kind of stuff, you know, I feel funny, I feel good. Oh wait, I have to throw up now. I have to go throw up.
But then you feel better after
and then you
you
feel
throw
good
up.
after you throw up. Yeah. And I like the way that felt. And so I was just basically experimenting with other things at this point, and life was still good on the outside, but I still felt like shit on the inside. And she graduated onto heroin and crack and the stuff that I would
went to grad school.
Yeah, I guess you could say
she went to grad school.
She graduated to that, onto bigger and better things. And she started doing this, and I could see how this was affecting her life. Not so much like her personality changed. Like, she was trying to, get money from me and from anybody else who would give it to her. Grants. Yeah, grants, scholarships, right? But basically, she just became a whole different person. And
did we just suggest that there's a crack scholarship? Is that what was just inferred?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of different routes to getting it. I mean,
there are no crack scholarships.
There's tricking.
Anybody?
Oh
God! Stop!
Sorry.
Stop, Eric.
So she got into that scene, and I loved her. We had told that to each other. And I
told that to each other.
Yeah,
all right,
we said that to each other.
Yes,
and I wanted to help. I really wanted to help and turn her around, help her get turned around. But there was nothing I could do. I tried so hard.
Oh God!
And I was that guy, just like I can't be part of this if you're going to keep doing it, but. And then just end up staying right there with her and everything.
Yeah.
So it was like I could see like the disease of addiction just like right in my face in another person. Mm-hmm. And I remember when they got clean and decided that I think that she only got clean is because she got caught and ended up having to go away. So she went away for a while.
Yeah.
And ended up staying clean. Now for. God, almost what year is coming up? 2019. Yeah, and next year will be 10 years for her.
Crazy.
Good God.
And you both know her. She's.
What's her name? We say Brad all the time.
Yeah, her name's Carol.
Oh, okay,
yeah.
Carol. Yeah. That's fine.
Oh, I thought you knew who I was talking about.
This, right?
I didn't know all of that. But yes, I know who Carol is.
Yeah, she's doing great. She's doing great things.
Yeah, great lady.
Absolutely. God bless her.
God bless her.
Yeah. Anyway, I think that's my go-to is anyway.
Yeah.
Anyway,
there it is.
Yeah. So she got clean and. Eventually she was basically told me one day, maybe you should check out one of these meetings one time. And I'm like, no, like absolutely not.
Yeah.
Why would, that's not for me. Mm-hmm. Yeah. All full up defensive, how dare you?
Yeah.
Don't group me in with you and those people. And that's not me. That basically admits that that the way that I'm living my life is wrong. Right. If I'm going to do that, that means that I've been doing this all wrong and I need to make a change. And I was so unwilling to admit that I was living life wrong because, I thought I was cool. I thought I was, the shit, but I also thought that I was, a piece of shit at the same time that would never make it anywhere in life. And at this point in time, we were living off campus in this house, in town here in Catonsville. And we were just basically living off of loans. None of us had a job. We were growing weed in the basement.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And it was a mess. I mean, it was cool for what age we were, 21, 22-year-old kids. But it was, we had it going on. We had plenty of good parties there,
Yeah.
Grilled out back, in the alley. So,
sweet.
Yeah, we were living the life. Sorry, getting a little bit of dry throat there. But anyway, there it is again. She suggested I go to meetings and I was like, no. And she started saying some recovery bullshit about because you can stop whenever you want. Right. It's yeah, of course I can. I knew that I couldn't do the things that I wanted to do in life and still live this lifestyle. But I was extremely unwilling to make that change in order to do that.
Yeah.
It's one of those catch-22s. I really want to do this, but I really will never do what it takes to get there.
Yeah.
Right. And I also figured I just wouldn't be able to, because one of the main, like the biggest theme in my active addiction, in my recovery from that active addiction is fear, just fear of in all forms, right? Fear of success, fear of failure. What if I don't do it? What if I do it? What happens then? Fear of rejection. What if they don't like me, right? All right. Fear of acceptance. Well, what happens if they do like me? What happens then? And that fear basically just kept me sitting completely still in life, afraid to take any chance at all, and just basically stuck. Right. And that was, to me, that was a terrible existence. Not willing to experience anything, just going with what I know, which was drugs and alcohol, and just escape, isolation. But at the same time, thinking that I'm like the best looking guy in the room, who's also terrified to say anything to anybody. Yeah. I used to walk around campus like with my head down. He looked like looking angry because I didn't want anybody to talk to me. I didn't want anybody to talk to me at all. I guess I figured that everybody else they didn't know the secret like I did of how to live right. So eventually, she asked me a few more times. I'm like, no, not going to do it. She celebrated a year, which was cool. Like I went to her anniversary meeting and I was like dressed up. And anybody, if you go to meetings, if you're part of that recovery community, you know that it's not like a dress up thing at all. And I was wearing my best clothes at the time.
Unless you're David.
Unless you're me. Unless you're David.
I happen to wear 3-piece suits and vests and all sorts of shit because why the fuck not?
Because he's compensating for something else.
Jesus.
Just kidding. He's doing great.
Good God.
We're having fun here today. No, he looks great. I thought I knew about fashion, but he does much more than me.
I didn't know that I would trade drugs for ties. I love fucking ties. It's great.
Pocket squares out the ass.
Pocket squares. My pocket square collection is immense.
Yeah. So eventually, I was like, fine, I'll go. I'll go to one of these meetings that you go to that I don't belong to. And not because I wanted to see what they were about, but I wanted to get her to stop asking me to go. Just get her off my back. So I went, and, it pretty much, began the journey. I never went to an institution for rehab. Years prior, she and I got busted for possession of drugs, and we had to go to court-ordered outpatient. Yeah. I used the entire time during that.
Oh, yeah, of course.
I was peeing every week, using if I had to pee on Monday, I would come home and use a Monday night, Tuesday night, Wednesday night. And then eventually Thursday night, Friday, Saturday, Sunday night, sure, I'll be fine by Monday with weed who stays in your system for like a month.
Forever, yeah.
But anyway, so you don't have to, I never did that. Some people need to. Some people need to have just like their entire world structured for them.
Eric needs all the treatment.
Yeah. Some people,
you love treatment.
Treatment's great.
Yeah, treatment is great if if you're there, if that's where you're at, and you need life structured, you need things laid out in front of you, you need professionals to help you. But that just wasn't part of my story. It's not something that I needed to do.
Did you like your first meeting?
My first meeting was 10 o'clock at night on a Monday, and that meeting holds very dear to my heart.
The one in Cadensville?
The one at St. Bart's.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
People hugged me, which was weird, right?
Yeah, definitely.
They were talking about like their feelings, about being an adult, about just basically being a grown up, and just talking about things that I didn't talk about with anybody, that nobody talked about with me.
Yeah.
And I didn't stay clean after that first night. I basically was trying to talk like I to talk like they thought I should talk, like that I thought they wanted me to talk. Oh yeah, I had my moment of clarity the other day, and I need to start. I need to get clean, right? And here I am.
Yeah.
And in my mind, I'm like, when is this going to be over? And go home. I think I used that night or whatever. And a couple weeks later, there was no catastrophic event. It was just that the night before my clean date. It was just like a party, just like any other, and like, I just kind of had a feeling, that, and I guess I didn't think it was going to solidify into anything, but that ended up being the last night I used. It was nothing too crazy, just a normal party. I was partying with people that were like 5 years younger than me in high school because, I wanted them, I guess I thought they thought I was cool, like Matthew McConaughey in,
God.
but I was nowhere near as cool as him. I was never as cool as him.
Nobody is.
But, yeah. And I'm reminded now of,
why are you partying with high school chicks at this point?
They're not girls. They weren't girls. They're just like,
high school,
high school. They
kids that were a few years younger. Nah, they weren't
like around here, like
back in Southern Maryland. It's irrelevant, but like I'm reminded of a story. A few, like maybe a week or two prior to that, like I was at a party here at school, and I had already been to a couple of meetings, and I'm like, all right, I'm just going to drink tonight. I'm just going to drink at this party, and it'll be fine. So that's what I did, and then people broke out the weed, and I'm like, I held off for a while. I'm like, God, that looks really good, right?
Yeah.
I wish I was doing that, and eventually I ended up doing it, and I ended up like I puked in their bathroom sink. And clogged it.
Oh yeah,
I filled their
that fucking guy.
I filled their bathroom sink with puke and clogged it, and left shortly thereafter.
Of course.
And I also like their toilet. I like broke their toilet. Not like it didn't function anymore, but it broke it.
What? You cracked it?
Like the top porcelain of the tank, I broke that somehow. I don't know how.
Wow.
It didn't like hit it against anybody.
Donnie was leaving an upper decker and shattered a toilet.
And I just left shortly thereafter. But like, the main thing was like, the opportunity didn't come up again. And I kept going to meetings, and my motive, like I still had feelings for the girl, at the time. And, like years later, this is the only person I ever felt that way for, right? So naturally there'd be some lingering feelings 100%. There. And
no judgment.
And that was honestly my motive for going to meetings in the beginning. But they say like whatever gets you here is enough to keep you here, and that's and as long as you're around and doing the thing and whatever keeps you clean. But like that was those early days were weird because in my mind, this like we were going to get back together, right?
Yeah, of course.
I'm getting clean now. You're clean, right? This is just the way it's
fairy tale ending, dude. Fairy tale ending,
and like it obviously didn't work out that way, and I got really really resentful, very resentful. Like how dare you? How dare you, like, not, don't you know who I am? The kind of thing. And it was even worse because one of the first guys I ever became friends with, a guy named Andy, he was at the first meeting, one of the first meetings I ever went to. And he actually spoke. And he only had like a month more clean than me, but he had clean time before. And he said something that, like, really kind of stuck with me. He said it really resonated with me. He's talked about how he had way too many stories that started with "we were so fucked up," way too many stories that started with that. And it's like, yeah, that's pretty much true with me. All my stories are like that. So he and I became friends, and then he started dating Carol, and that was just like, it's almost too much to handle. Like, again, like, how dare you? How could you do this to me?
Yeah.
And all the while, like, he didn't know, I didn't talk about that with him. Like, and, I I'm glad I didn't leave, but was like, man, well, fuck this, you know. I don't need this anymore. But I had been exposed to it and had a little bit enough of a taste of the whole being clean thing that I decided to stay. And yeah, it hurt. Yeah, I was resentful for years about it. But like, that's the kind of stuff that we do here, is to learn to deal with those feelings and not deal with them with using or anything like that. It was a really good lesson, actually, that, there's so little that you can actually control in life. You can't control people. You can't control people's feelings or what they're going to do. And, it's funny, like, Andy's not with us anymore. Eric, you knew Andy. I don't know, David, I don't think you knew him.
I didn't.
But Andy was a very, very, very good man, and, it was just like, eventually left the program and found his way back to using, and then, he died. We were all really upset by that. And, it doesn't have to be that way. In fact, these days, as all of you know, who are maybe listening, know that people are dying at record rates, and it doesn't have to be that way. Whether or not people have come in, gotten clean, and used again, and just gotten a bad batch or a hot shot or something and go out. Like, it's, for me, when I don't know how to feel what I'm feeling, that's when I want to change that, and a lot of people just go back to what they know, which is the drugs to numb those feelings. And like, it's so important that I continue to be able to talk about things that are upsetting me or things that are affecting my mood or my station in life, I guess you could say. Because, I'm not exempt. I never did heroin. I never smoked crack. There's a lot I never did. My nevers list is, kind of long. But I'm just like everybody else, that is in this recovery community. And we are all capable of having all those nevers coming true. One of them being using and dying, right? Yeah. And I don't want to die today. Like I told you, I used to want to kill myself when I was 11 years old. Yeah. Not today. Like I want to live today, and that's just because of getting clean and doing the things that other people told me to do. And they say suggestions, but they're really, as some I've heard people say, subtle commands. Yeah. Like if you want to stay around, you do this. You must do these things. And some people bump their heads. Nope. Yeah. Some people bump their heads. Some people shirk the system and or don't trust the process and they reap the benefits. No, sorry, face the consequences of it. The opposite of benefits. Yes.
I was like, they reap the benefits.
The opposite of benefits. But anyway, in those early days, I just went to meetings all the time. I was in school full time. I had a job part time. I was going to meetings every day, more than once a day, most of the time. And, we're very fortunate that we live where we do because we have hundreds, closer, the better part of 1,000 meetings a week in our region.
Yeah, within an hour's radius of us.
Exactly. It's insane.
Within 10 minutes, there's 5 meetings a day.
Yeah.
Oh, minimum.
Yeah. Get into West Baltimore.
Minimum.
Get into they're all over
Baltimore,
the place.
Yeah, they're everywhere, man.
I mean, we need them. We need them.
Yeah.
I work in the city now, and I see it driving home. I see it. So basically, that's what they say to do. And are we doing on time? I feel like I've been talking a very long time.
Don't worry about it.
As Dave Chappelle would press a button.
Are we doing the wrap it up thing now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Did you hit the wrap it up box on him? Son of a bitch.
Better wrap it up, B. Better wrap that gavel up. Anyway, so let's see if I can just kind of wrap this up. But my story's boring. I say all that to say that I hated myself. I used drugs to not hate myself, but I ended up still hating myself when I was using drugs. And I got clean through no plan of my own. Right? I never would have thought to come to get clean. That was never going to be part of my plan. I understand today that all I can really control are my actions. You know, how am I going to respond to the world, and how am I going to respond to what happens to me in the world? I can either come at it with an attitude of aggression and fear to try to like manipulate it into what I think it should be, or I can take it as it is and accept it for what it is and move on. Right? That's going to make me more at peace. It's going to make me less resentful towards people. It's going to help me develop the relationships that I need to live life. Because it's all about relationships. All the times I talked about how we never talked to anybody. I didn't want anybody to talk to me. And I thought I was so different. Like now I'm surrounded by people who are just like me, you know, who all thought that they were unique, right? But I think we're all just looking for a place to belong, right? And we all do belong here. So, you know, and I thought that being clean and not using drugs was just going to be such a terrible life, right? How am I going to have fun? You know, how am I going to enjoy the finer things, or just anything? Because I had to use to enjoy anything, honestly. So, I mean, how many times have we laughed to tears? You know, how many times has that happened? Oh
God, so many times, dude.
Yeah. Like probably more often than when I was using.
Oh, you know? Yeah.
Easily.
Yeah. Fucking right.
Easily. Like, and to me, that's what it's about is laughter. I don't take things life is not all about laughter to me, but it's like, I don't take things too seriously. I don't take myself too seriously, or at least I try not to. You know, I mean, mistakes are going to be made.
You used to, though. You used to be a lot more serious.
I used to be a lot more serious.
Like when I first met you, you were like super competitive, and like in any sort of competitive realm, you were kind of a dick.
I know, because that's if there's something that I think I'm good at and I do badly at it, I will be fucking mad.
Yeah,
you know.
You were.
And today, like, I don't even like to keep score of things.
Yeah, well, we're keeping score of any game that we're playing.
Well, yeah, but I'm not going to be upset if I lose. You know, is the thing. Like, sometimes
he's lost at Citadels like every time.
Yeah, and I don't think I'm good at Citadel, so it doesn't matter. The point I'm trying to make is like it's about just experiencing and being a part of now, not thinking about then or thinking about what is to be. You know, it's about being here. Here in the now. And, you know, I wouldn't have stayed clean if I didn't know the people that I met, or didn't have that sense of community, right? Where we're all just trying to figure shit out, right? Yeah. I think Matt said that a lot. He talked about we're going to figure it out. You know, we're going to figure it out. One of the best explanations of our community or recovery community was we're going to get together, we're going to drink coffee, and we're going to figure shit out. Yeah,
we're going to figure it out together.
Yeah, and we're not going to use.
Yeah, because all of us trying to figure our shit out by ourselves with drugs clearly didn't work all that fucking well.
No, not at all. So, you know, today, you know, I talked about how I always wanted to be that guy who's got the job, who wants to contribute to society, you know. And today, you know, I help people make decisions with their money, right?
Yeah.
And I never had money, and I don't have that much money now, but I have a little bit of knowledge, and I can help people. They trust me. I've helped. Well, actually, haven't helped either of you, but I've helped a lot of my friends. A lot of my friends. I've gained a reputation as the money guy, the banker. You know?
You're the fucking money guy,
and which is crazy to me because, you know, you heard me say I never thought I would amount to anything.
Any of our friends out there listening, just know you're getting financial advice from a 0.0 over here.
Yeah, well, that was a different time.
I'm kidding.
Different time in my life. So, I mean, I guess to wrap it up, it's just like, if you want to, I don't have any like super profound thing to say, but it's just like, give it a shot. You know, drugs are still going to be out there, and they'll be probably even more lethal. So why not just stop now? Yeah. You know, if you're having a problem, or if you think you might have a problem, like, you can always go back. You can always go back and get your pain and tenfold back, you know, because to me, it's all about, I don't know, just not being an asshole.
Yeah.
You know, not looking at life with fear or aggression, and just being. I don't think I'm important. I'm not important. I try to remain humble and teachable, and because I know I don't have all the answers, and I don't want all the answers, because then that means I'm not teachable anymore. And I guess most importantly, most of the time, I like who I am. Back then, I told you I would have liked to be anybody else but me.
Yeah.
Right. I don't mind being me now. It's cool. So I know they've got a long way to go, and I talked a lot of bullshit and fluff, I think, but
it's all good.
We fix it in post.
Yeah, we'll edit it all this.
Anyway, so I don't know. That's pretty much all I've got. I could go on forever, but it would just be ramblings. But there we go.
Cool.
We'll call that. Well, if this were a Bob Ross painting, we'd be signing it Ross right now.
Oh, fantastic! Yeah. Glad there was it wouldn't be a Donnie share without a Bob Ross reference. Mm-hmm. Can I ask the first question?
Of course you can.
Ooh, yay! Okay, so you talked about when you were coming into the meetings, basically having to admit to yourself that your way of life was wrong. Mm-hmm. What was the process of that? Was it hard for you mentally to admit you were an addict, knowing that I didn't shoot dope, I didn't smoke crack or PCP or blah 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 blah.
Yeah. Yeah, it was hard, especially when in this area, when you hear about people putting needles in their neck and shooting up with gutter water and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It was very hard to relate in. Mm-hmm. But at the instant that it was suggested that I go to meetings, then it was just wait, am I an addict?
Yeah.
It's the first thought is, no, I'm not an addict, but I might be. I might be now. What is now?
I might be now.
If somebody thinks that I am, maybe am I though? So yes, it was very difficult to make that admission in those very, very early days when I would say I'm Donnie and I'm an addict. That was saying that sounded so weird coming out of my mouth. It almost it made me feel like I was going to cry. This is what my life has become now. Yeah. I'm a drug addict, one of those dirty, scoundrels of the earth. Right.
Yeah.
And this is
scoundrels of the earth.
Yeah. And this is my life now, but it took me 6 months or so to actually feel like I could relate to a lot of people in the meetings, because a lot of people went a lot further before they got clean and made that admission that they needed to try something new. Yeah. And I can only attribute that I got clean when I did to Carol, because I never, I kind of mention it all the time. Anytime she meets any of my newer friends, I'm like, she got me clean. Carol, she got me clean, even though my motives were, not to get clean, but it's all about motives today. My sponsor talks is a big on motives, on what your plan is. But the point is that I heard people talking about how they hated themselves too, and they also felt like they would never be anything and they were a piece of garbage and shit like that. And so when I started hearing that versus, I put needles in my neck, and I'd be like, well, I never did that. So how could I be like you? Yeah. And I said, well, I hated myself and I hated all of you. It's well, I can relate to that. So maybe I'll pay more attention now.
Cool. So it wasn't the drugs, it was the feelings that brought you in.
Yeah, I'm sure you've heard people say it's the disease of the feelings.
100%.
Yeah.
All right, Eric. You're up.
Okay, cool.
Now hit me with the good questions.
Well, actually,
that was a very good question.
This is not going to be a good question. This is more of curiosity.
Okay.
Maybe it's too personal, but I have to ask. Why did you live with your dad after the divorce? It seems very I
know usually you say with the mother. I think because he made the money, and my mom, she was mostly stayed at home, know, and so she moved out and
was it just you and your brother?
Yeah, just us.
And you both went with your dad?
Yeah, we both stayed with Dad. I think because he had money, mom moved out and he stayed there. We were renting the house at the time, so I don't know what the implications of that were. Sorry, I just burped.
That's just very out of the ordinary. That's why
I know. That was basically why, because because he was making the money. But
he was more apt to provide for kids.
Yeah. And my mom, she's, I'll just shout out. She's an incredibly talented artist, and that's what she is.
There's some great self-portraits of you, or portraits. Portraits, sorry.
Yeah, I won't. This isn't. I won't give out a shameless plug, but she's awesome.
I'll co-sign that. She's very good.
Anyway.
All right. So moving on, we'll go to. We'll ask that question last, and then we'll ask that other question. So, being someone who smoked a lot of weed, you, and like that's your drug of choice, you would say.
Are you pointing at me or Donnie?
He was just pointing.
Okay, pointing in the general direction.
Hand motions.
Yeah. You happen to be right here. But,
yes.
I'm addressing Donnie.
Okay.
So what are your thoughts? Because, with like medical marijuana and where that fits in like the realm of, during different illnesses, obviously for things like glaucoma, cancer, even things like anxiety or chronic pain, where that can help someone a lot. How do you feel about that? Because I know some people, like, my perspective is it's a good thing.
Yeah, it is a good thing.
But I know some people, I'm not going to name any names, but, who were, heavy pot smokers are like, oh my God, it's the end of the fucking world.
Because it's legal now. It's going to be legal
now. So like,
alcohol is legal and that kills more people each year than anything.
Yeah.
Right. So my thoughts on that is like what's the medical implications of alcohol?
I mean, it like sterilizes.
For like drinking alcohol though.
Nothing.
Yeah. So as far as like
spots on your liver.
Yeah, well,
that's a medical implication. Oh, positive medical implication.
Yeah. So, but we're not on a debate about. We're not.
Cirrhosis is not a medical treatment.
Yeah, that's not a benefit. It's a consequence.
No, exactly.
We're not going to get into a thing about like what's worse, because that's differs between the individual. But I think that it's excellent. Weed should be legal everywhere. I mean, Canada just legalized it, but I'm not going to, get political and get up on my grandstand or whatever. But, there's plenty of research about the benefits, health benefits of it, and it's hemp industrially.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean,
ridiculous. It's amazing.
Yep.
But I was just talking about it with I got my haircut today. My barber, he's about to get his card.
Yeah.
And I got a haircut today. I wanted to look nice for this.
Everyone's going to see
for all our viewers watching Donnie.
Yeah. But he's going to get his card. It's just like, let me walk in and say, oh, my back hurts. Right. Oh, well, here.
Yeah.
And but then it's prescribed by the doctor, right?
Yeah.
Well, so that's a gray area.
Yeah, if you're looking at it from like a dosage perspective, right?
Yeah.
And like, say like chronic pain, right? Because with someone who has chronic pain, you fall into this category of like either my life is going to be very painful, or you can take acetaminophen, which will destroy your liver,
right?
And then you have the option of there's always alternative ways, but those they don't always work. Like acupuncture and stuff, like it doesn't always help.
I mean, I think
but like for relief, when you're looking at like the issue of opiates or like medical marijuana, it's nice to have like an option that's like might not lead to like dying.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I think it's a safer alternative, and it all really boils down to why are you taking it?
Yeah.
Are you taking it to get high? Or are you taking it to manage your
It's like
manage your medical condition?
It's all about the motives behind the drugs.
Yeah, and
it's the same with any sort of pain management, along with like opiates. Like some people take opiates perfectly responsibly, and that's probably why they still prescribe them.
Yeah.
And then they finish their prescription, and that's it.
And that's it. We don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, they even process it today where you don't even get high off of it. You just
exactly.
CBD and everything.
Oil, CBD is great. Like that's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah,
that's another great thing.
The point is that I think with it becoming much much more legal across the country and everything. I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be. For lack of better words, like it's just going to be a bag of snakes for the recovery community, being as marijuana is a very prevalently abused drug amongst addicts.
gateway drug.
Gateway drug.
I don't think it's the gateway drug.
The reefers. Blah, blah, blah.
Reefer madness.
Yeah, reefer madness. Like it's been a vilified drug for a long time, but I think all three of us believe, like, in the medical benefits of it. And if you're taking it responsibly and you need it, opposed to, like he said, downing ibuprofen or acetaminophen, killing your liver and killing your kidneys, weed's not going to do that. But as far as abusing it on your own to self-medicate, that's different. Exactly.
Right?
It's different.
Yeah, again, we're back to motives.
Yeah, 100%. It's about motives. Yeah. It's about,
and if you're in recovery already, that's between you and your sponsor. So.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And don't let anybody else tell you anything.
Answer.
100%.
Like
we'll leave it there.
Mm-hmm. So, all right. So, well, first, before we ask this question, so what other ways did addiction manifest itself in your recovery? So,
this is my favorite.
I can think of like things from like,
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, other things.
You have a better go-to question than I do. Really quick. Your go-to question, how did your addiction manifest in recovery? Mine's like, what's your favorite drink? What was your first drink?
Hey, all are very important in its own way.
I asked a good question tonight, so I made up for my first drink question.
What question was that again?
I don't know.
Oh, he doesn't even remember.
No, I'm just kidding. No, it was a good one.
How has your addiction manifested since recovery?
So since recovery, I remember that's the second question. One of the first few questions in the step working guide is like, how is the disease in your life today? And I remember when I was answering that, I had no idea what the answer was. Mm-hmm. And I answered the first question, second question.
What is the first question?
What does the disease of addiction mean to you?
Bingo.
Yeah.
Keep going.
I knew that. The second one was like, I don't fucking know, because like to me, addiction was just using drugs.
Yeah. 100%.
That's it.
Yep.
Yeah.
But in other ways, like you can call it video games.
Hell yeah, video games.
Hell yeah. I mean, I heard Nathan's. He's still at it today. Today, I don't really play a lot of video games, but I used to a lot. Just like in the old days, like I'd come home from work, play like Call of Duty.
What about maybe working out?
It's working out to an extent, yes.
Well, how much do you work out? Though?
I mean, I work out. I don't know, maybe 4-5 days a week or so. I'm not.
How many hours? So you're not like.
I'm not in the gym 2-3 hours at a time, every day. But I'll get to the working out. That's become like more so of a hobby these days and everything. But, I come home and play Call of Duty and then go to a meeting and then come home and play more Call of Duty till bed, and that might correspond to different times in my recovery when I may have been, maybe not feeling so hot, and I needed that escape. I might not have liked where I was working. I might not have liked, something at that point in time. I got pretty hooked on like just buying clothes for a little while for a short period of time.
Thrift shop.
Yeah, not thrift shop. Even earlier than that, it was just like I was still getting money from the government for school, and there was a lot of money left over after my tuition and stuff was paid, so they just gave it to me. I'm like, oh, this is free money, right? So I would I would just buy I'm going to buy TV now. I'm going to buy these clothes and all this Xbox and all this stuff. Little did I know that it was going to. I still owe that money today, and I'm paying for it now, lots of student loans. But so that obsession on, addiction it's like an obsessive compulsive type of thing. I've obsessed over people, how am I going to manipulate I'm going to sitting at home scheming, to try to manipulate a certain situation in your favor and make it happen in my life. Yes. And I can tell you that in my experience, either I'm just really bad at coming up with plans or manipulating, but it never works.
Yeah.
It never works.
Yeah.
They say if you want to make God laugh, then just come up with a plan,
Ooh, I've never heard that.
You haven't?
No. Have you heard that?
No.
You don't care.
Yeah.
Okay. Fuck you, Eric.
Yeah, you remember, David, we were at that meeting where like there are people's addiction manifesting in other ways outside of drugs, but kind of comparing it to like the misplaced faith. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
And that's kind of what it's at. We're looking for something else to make us feel good because...
Have you guys watched American Gods?
Not yet.
No.
Please, I just binged it. Like,
Your reference has no power here.
it doesn't. But if you watch it, it will totally have power with what Donnie just said.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's the idea there. Disease man, cigarettes. I smoked a pack a day for years. Because that was, that's when you get clean. It's like what I gotta smoke. You gotta hang on to something. So I eventually quit that as well. But never anything that really made life unmanageable, but just certain things that I would obsess over, and that, so video games, clothes, manipulating situations, and the smoking cigarettes. And now I like to exercise a lot. I like to go running. I haven't ridden my bike in a while, but I like to ride my bike, hiking, not so much as an obsessive level, but just more so to be healthy. I know, you guys were making fun of me last week for the food I eat.
Yeah, it was.
What, like beans and...
He eats raw beans out of a can. He opens up a can of beans and eats it.
You did beans and mayonnaise.
Come on, that was a weird time. I was just trying.
Weird time.
I was just trying it.
Good Lord.
It's so weird.
What did you combine with your eggs?
Oatmeal.
Oatmeal and
what?
scrambled eggs.
And pumpkin.
Yeah.
that-
And pumpkin.
Oh, I know about the pumpkin.
Like the pureed pumpkin out of a can, scrambled eggs and oatmeal.
It's a mashup.
Is it more so important for it to be tasty or healthy?
Tasty.
It can be both.
I know it can be.
It can be both, but
It's just not as
tasty
important
is
for me, the
number
taste,
one.
I guess.
Well, I think the pumpkin and oatmeal, you could really do something there. But adding the egg, I just don't feel like.
No,
maybe it depends
that's
on the
weird.
type of
I don't
egg.
know.
Maybe you just need more ingredients.
Yeah.
Fucking baking it up, baby.
Yeah, well, anyway, we'll probably cut this whole part out. But
No.
No, absolutely not.
anyway, what's next? I don't have much more to say on that topic.
You kind of like answered this kind of question, but you were talking about like the, fitting in. You kind of mentioned this thing where you were saying like you're a chameleon.
Yeah.
But I feel like chameleons are more, it's more that you're fitting into the group because you just fit in everywhere.
Oh, so
but you're saying that you changed yourself to fit in to the people you want it to be.
Right.
So
I liked what they liked.
Yeah, so you changed yourself instead of being able to just
blend in
with everyone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, we went through phases.
Yeah.
You went through phases
Well, clearly you didn't take Sociology 101, so...
Yeah, I think I passed that class the third time. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's...
why do you want that, though? I guess I know why people...
What is,
I know why people want to fit in, but, I don't know, sometimes I just think about it, it's why the fuck do people
Well, I guess it's because...
care?
Because at the time, or wherever I was at my life in the time, at that point in time, I was basically thinking that I wasn't enough. Just me as I am was not enough to fit in with this particular group of people. So I needed to have something in common, which would be, maybe I'm going to start listening to techno music now and hang out with these guys that like to do that.
Maybe.
Yeah, or whatever. I don't even remember what the fuck it was.
Fatboy Slim.
No.
So really there was a lot of people pleasing in there.
Sure.
You were
I didn't even have to, but I did it anyway.
Yeah, but you would alter things about yourself to psychologically, I don't know, make yourself feel like you belong more.
Yeah, that's a fair assessment, because they never said you can't hang out with us unless you
you smoke pot, man.
Yeah, aren't you cool? And but I was fine as I was.
Yeah.
But I just never. That was the last thought in my mind. It's I'm fine just as I am, right? No, absolutely not.
So Donnie suffered from the disease of Donnie.
Mm-hmm. That's what they say. I am my own problem.
Wow.
And but today, it's not like that. I don't feel like I need to change anything about me to try to fit in with. I don't have to fit in everywhere, and that's the beauty of it.
Yes.
I don't need to be the chameleon or Mystique or whoever from X-Men.
Mystique.
Yeah. Shapeshifter.
I guess that would be.
It is kind of
Yeah.
I'm sure there is actually a character called the Chameleon.
Probably.
Multiple characters.
I guess, it boils down to just believing for myself that I am enough.
Yeah.
To fit in wherever I need to fit in. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Cool. Well, that was my last question.
Okay.
We're good?
Yeah.
Let me think. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I think I'm done. Mm-hmm. I think I'm done. I got nothing else.
Cool.
Okay.
Well, thank you, Donnie, very much.
It's been my pleasure.
We'd like to thank our guest, Donnie, for sharing his story with us today. Little clap track.
Yeah, the poetry clap, the snapping. Yes.
That's all you get.
Yes.
All right. Here at Podcast Recovery, we are aiming to expand the scope of support for recovering addicts. Accessibility and convenience of helpful services is paramount to combating addiction. We work to bring the message of recovery to every addict, wherever and whenever it is needed. We believe that a powerful voice of recovery should be obtainable, practical, and at the touch of a button. Every addict deserves to hear a message of hope, and Podcast Recovery is here to provide it. All right. Well, it was a great recording.
Yeah.
Appreciate it, Donnie.
It's a great room.
Finally getting you. Yeah, it's a good room.
Much better reverb.
Yeah, much better
Really
reverb.
good. Yeah, I was going to say that.
Yeah.
The acoustics are great.
Yeah, the reverb.
Any final words, buddy?
Just thank you. I hope anybody who listened can relate, and appreciates it too.
All right. Well, thank you very much. Thank you, Eric. Thank you, Donnie. Everybody, thanks for listening. Have a good night. Stay clean. Stay safe.